Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. And I'm massively inspired by the talks that I've just heard. And I just can't wait to connect to some of the people who have just spoken. There's just so much wonderful stuff going on in this conference. Earlier on, I connected with some of the wonderful creative entrepreneurs that are operating in the areas of Serbia, Kosovo, Pristina. I want to showcase them to the world. I keep saying this to people. I keep saying to people when they ask me, how are we going to promote this region abroad? And they say, shall we send some people to cook something? And I say, well, no, send young people who are doing amazing things. Showcase our intelligence to the world. This is us fitting our Commissioner for Innovation, Carlos Moedas, with neurofeedback sensors back in July last year. His brain activity was being visualized in front of an audience of 700 VIPs during question time. This is the kind of things that our community does. The Music Tech First community is a global innovation community that now counts over 6,500 members, and I'm very proud to be able to present them. I founded this 6 years ago, and it has grown exponentially. So I want to tell you a little bit more about what this community does, because I think it's, there are many members from this area, and I do want more of them to join, because it's a wonderful global network that really fits with the ethos of what we're talking about here. So this is us at the London Symphony Orchestra in the Barbican in London with the Brainwave Quartet. The community is united by this passion for innovation at the junction of art and science and academia and industry. And it really welcomes everybody. It is so diverse and so inclusive. It has, I think this probably illustrates it best. This is us in Wellington in New Zealand. And these are people who are uniting old technologies and new technologies. And we had Maori and Polynesian artists rushing to us, asking us to fit their wonderful carved instruments with new kinds of technological devices, and then allowing them to express themselves in new ways. Now, this is quite fundamental to what we do. Of course, there are political divides that we unite. This is us in Berlin. It's Rani Dar from Israel and Ahmad Bakri from the Palestine. We had to fight to get a visa for Ahmad. We don't visit the States at the moment because I do not go anywhere without all of our community, and therefore I will not risk anybody not getting a visa. Music is our social glue. Music is what does it at the core. But people who come into this community come from all kinds of backgrounds and work with across disciplines. So for instance, this is a system by Robertina Šebjanić from Ljubljana that unites art and science in the sense that it unites sound and feedback from biological systems, in this case jellyfish, and this got actually an honorable mention pre Ars Electronica. And of course, there are people of all ages, and the children are absolutely phenomenal. They are, after 3 hours of interacting with our community, they develop a passion for technology, for engineering, for creativity, and the important thing is that the new tools that they build allow them to express themselves in front of audiences. No matter how shy, we insist they need to go on stage and showcase what they have done. They're usually very frightened, but after they get this huge acknowledgement from the audiences, absolutely love it. What happens is that they gain this enormous passion, confidence to progress further. So with this wonderful, wonderful community and its incredible brains, we experienced several jaw-dropping moments during the build-up of this community. This is one of them. In November in 2016, the last month of presidency, Obama's presidency, he was asked to curate, or rather guest edit, an edition of Wired magazine and choose the future technology frontiers. And our community, and the champion of our community, Victoria Modesta, was one of them. This is Victoria Modesta. When our community surpassed 5,000 members, I decided that we needed a role model. and it needed to be female. It needed to be someone who was courageous, who could take any challenge, who really embraced opportunities. And Victoria certainly was one of them. She opened the Paralympics both in London and in Rio. She is now a Director's Fellow of MIT. And our community fitted her with all kinds of senses and gave her the possibility to express herself in new ways and have special abilities. So the point was not to turn someone into someone who's normal. We don't use that word at all. In fact, we don't accept anybody as being normal. The point was that here was an opportunity to give someone the opportunity to be so special that everybody else could aspire to them. So in this case, her prosthetic leg was designed by a phenomenal fashion tech designer, Anouk Wipprecht, to create smoke for the stage. And an image that resulted was like a new take on the famous Marilyn Monroe image in the white dress, except with a completely different take on it. Of course, the rest of her outfit is carbon fiber and sensor enabled, and she was able to do all kinds of things. This is still from the MIT Media Lab documentary that was made about our labs in Berlin. And she was fitted with neurofeedback sensors, and she was able to control from her brain the color of her dress. Now, how does this work? We combine science and art. Our community uses methods from clinical trials for people who have anxiety attacks. And these are usually, their brain activity is usually visualized for their benefit, so they can see when their brain pattern changes, and therefore they can start to train to control their brain activity. Now, the same system can be used to activate from your brain all kinds of other things, and in this case it was tested with Victoria, who trained to change color, and therefore gave her a new method of expression. Now, we took this further. Let's see if we can get the next one. We took this further in Slush. You're probably aware of Slush. It's the biggest European convention of startups. And we were asked to open Slush. And we decided to do it not with a 3-minute pitch, the classic startup pitch, but with a 20-minute performance. Because for the 5 days previous to this, we gathered some of the best brains from our community into one lab and said, right, let's just blow them away and let's showcase how technology can truly affect a human being. Now, in order to showcase that, 3 minutes is not enough. It needs to be an experience. This is Rica. She's a blind singer, very proud to be a blind singer from the Sibelius Institute, a vocal coach, an absolutely amazing artist. And the first thing we did with Rica was to say, what do you need when you're on stage? What are you missing? And she said, well, I can't see the audience. I don't know how they are reacting. So the first thing we did was something very simple. We asked for members of the audience to volunteer, and we fitted them with pulse sensors so that Rica, and connected them to Rica so she could feel the heartbeat of the audience and react to it. The people who are on the stage here, who form the band, are actually scientists, computer scientists, neuroscientists, accessibility designers, other types of designers, artists. This is the audience with the pulse sensors. And this is Yasmin Izdrake. She is a really accomplished inventor, entrepreneur, and innovator in her own right, and a cyborg. She has 3 chip implants. 2 of them are in her wrists. The reason why she has them is because she has never been able to scream or raise her voice, and these implants trigger alarms in her devices in case of danger. Now, she was able to activate some of the systems on stage with her implants. She was also able to transmit to Rica via vibration. This is an implant in her heart. In this tattoo, she has a chip. And she was able to convey to Rica her movements and her actions on stage. So this is another thing we did. Rica was also enabled with devices which allowed her to create special effects without having to navigate menus. And these were from our accessibility designers. And but when I say we have jaw-dropping moments, on the second day of the lab, we used that same system from clinical trials to activate the musical scale. And most people in the lab were taking at least 2 hours to be able to hit a note or go up and down a scale. And then she came, and she put these neurofeedback sensors on, and she was able to play without training. Now, at that moment, the jaw drops in the room, because we realized that someone who had previously, in our mechanical world, been considered disabled or less able-bodied than the rest of us, when it comes to brain-computer interfaces, is far more able-bodied. And these are the sort of things that inspire us to go forward. We have created entire systems that support these people. There have been toolkits and programs and pilots we ran with all kinds of mechanisms, and this one we tested. We tested the registration of newly created IP in the blockchain during these labs in Slush. So, as a result of our pilots, these are the kinds of things that happen. These are the sort of people who have ended up receiving all kinds of recognition as a result of the measures we took. But you will also notice that we are very much gender equal. In fact, we can sort of have a technology lab that's all women, and that's kind of quite rare. And so for our flagship in Stockholm this year, we have decided to invite all women to take the lead of technology areas, from the wonderful Imogen Heap with mycelia and blockchain, all the way to the famous Professor Danica Kragic, who is world leader in robotics and AI. And just one last jaw-dropping moment. This was back in 2014, when we were running in Boston, or rather Cambridge, MA, in Microsoft Nerd Labs. And then a number of luminaries from the academic world got inspired by the festival and by this wonderful community, and declared that this was a transdisciplinary platform. And at that point, I decided that, or rather I understood better, that we had a tool which united everybody across borders. And we united everybody who had something to say or something to contribute. And all these wonderful brains were able to help us invent the future. Thank you very much.